My desk partner was bullied. Despite the pressure, I gathered evidence and had the bully taken to the police station. The classmate turned around and immediately wrote a letter of forgiveness for the bully. So the bully took out all his anger on me. I was cornered by a group of people in an alley and beaten to death. After coming back to Ife, my desk partner cried to me about being bullied, and I smiled and said to her, "I've heard that boys this age show their affection by picking on her. He can't possibly like you, can he? Otherwise, why would he pick on you alone?" Her face flushed all the way to her ears in an instant. I turned on the faucet, cupped my hands, and splashed the water forcefully onto my face. The cold tap water made me shiver, but I couldn't help but laugh. I'm not dreaming. Just a moment ago, I was reborn. I turned off the faucet, roughly wiped the water from my face, and left the bathroom. There weren't many students around outside, so when I reached the staircase, I heard voices coming from the rooftop. It turns out I've gone back to the day I found out Su Tang was being bullied by Zhou. In a past life, I followed the sound up to the rooftop, chased Zhou and his henchmen away, and dragged Su Tang to find our homeroom teacher. After hearing this, the homeroom teacher told us he would look into it and then shoot us out of the office. But when we got back, we waited a long time and still didn't hear back from him with the results of his investigation. During that time, Zhou bullying of Su Tang grew increasingly vicious, having her hair cut, her clothes torn, and being locked in the bathroom. That's just a typical day for Su Tang. She said this was Zhou punishment for tattling on her. Only then did I realize just how significant it was that Zhou family had donated 2 buildings and a sports field to the school, along with 1 billion yuan. It was so bad that no one would even talk to a girl who was being bullied. The heroism of my youth rages within me. So, despite the pressure, I gathered evidence of Zhou bullying Su Tang and handed it over to the police. When the police officer praised me for being brave, I felt like a real hero. But 3 days later, reality brought me crashing down to earth. Su Tang issued a letter of forgiveness to Zhou. I confronted Su Tang and tried to detect even a hint of fear in her eyes, the kind that comes from being threatened, but unfortunately, I found none. With a kind look on her face, she told me that Zhou was still a minor and that we couldn't let his life be tarnished. I suddenly felt completely helpless, and the anger that had been about to burst out finally turned into a wry smile. That same night after I left the police station, Zhou called a few of his buddies and cornered me in a deserted alley. I curled up in the corner as countless punches and kicks rained down on me. My life came to an end on this dark night. That's the price I paid for helping Su Tang. Even now, I can still feel the utter despair I felt as I was about to die. It wasn't me who did anything wrong, so why did I end up being the one who died? So, when I found myself standing at the corner of the staircase once again, I didn't hesitate to head toward the classroom. I want to make the most of the second chance that fate has given me. Study hard, get into the university of my dreams, and live a fulfilling life. Su Tang walked into the classroom just as the bell rang. I glanced at her. Her hair was slightly disheveled. The right side of her face was red and swollen, and her school uniform carried a faint whiff of cigarette smoke. It smells a little bad. I instinctively moved a little further away from her, then opened my textbook and listened attentively to the teacher. In my past life, I spent almost every day thinking about how to help Su Tang and how to gather evidence of her being bullied. I had absolutely no time to focus on my studies. This only made my already mediocre grades even worse. On my final exam before I died, I ranked 3rd from the bottom in my class. The class flew by, and during the break, I quickly jotted down the key points the teacher had covered in my notes. I was halfway through tidying up when Su Tang tugged at the hem of my shirt. When I turned around, she was looking at me with innocent, doe-like eyes. I asked her, puzzled, "Is something wrong?" Her eyes gradually turned red, but she didn't say a word. I tugged at the hem of her shirt. "If you don't mind, I'm going to get back to taking notes." I turned back and had barely written a few words when she tugged at the hem of my shirt again. I ignored her and kept my head down, focusing on organizing the key points. Finally, as I finished writing, I realized she was still holding the hem of my shirt. A flicker of irritation rose within him, and he tugged the hem of her shirt back with some force. Unexpectedly, her tears suddenly streamed down her face. Her crying immediately drew strange looks from those around us, and my silence was deafening. I didn't do anything to her. Yet she turned everyone against me, and to think I used to feel sorry for her because her family wasn't well off and went out of my way to help her. Being kind and friendly to the very people who bully you, yet coming down hard on those who help you. Su Tang. You really outdo yourself. I came back to this life just to study in peace and stay out of her mess. But since she wants to play these games, fine, let's see who comes out on top. Just then, the homeroom teacher walked into the classroom. When he saw Su Tang crying, he showed none of the impatience he displayed in his previous life when he'd kicked me out of his office. Instead, he asked her with a look of tenderness, "What's wrong, Su Tang?" Su Tang glanced at me timidly, bit her lower lip, and shook her head, looking as if she dared not speak for fear of my wrath. What a great actor. I suppressed my irritation and took the initiative. Teacher, when Su Tang came back from the break during the last class, she smelled of smoke. I suspect she went out to smoke. Smoking on school grounds is a serious matter. And the homeroom teacher's expression immediately turned stern. Su Tang immediately denied it. I didn't do it. Don't make things up. I pretended to cover my nose. But I really did smell it. If you don't believe me, teacher, you can ask the students around here. When the people around me realized I had steered the conversation toward them, they all looked away. I know this group of classmates pretty well. I've asked people for help before in my past life, but no one ever agreed to help. They weren't wrong either. When it comes to choosing between helping me and going up against Zhou Yi, any smart person would choose to keep their distance. To the homeroom teacher, the silence of those around him seemed like tacit approval. But that wasn't enough for the homeroom teacher to reach a conclusion. I feigned surprise and pointed to the hem of Su Tang's shirt. Hey! It looks like there's a scorch mark here. And there's even some ash on it. Su Tang frantically covered herself with her clothes. At that point, I didn't even need to say anything. Everyone turned their suspicious glances back to her. The homeroom teacher tapped her fingers on the desk. Su Tang, just because you get good grades doesn't mean you can break school rules. Come to my office after class and explain what happened. Su Tang nodded reluctantly in agreement, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw that her hands were clenched into tight fists. I sneered inwardly. Does it hurt now that the needle's in your own flesh? After class, before the homeroom teacher took Su Tang away, I took the opportunity to ask him to let me switch to the back row. As Su Tang left the classroom, she shot me a sharp look. The look in her eyes made me feel as though she had been dissatisfied with me for a long time. I found myself twirling the pen in my hand as I went over every detail of our time together in my mind. But I couldn't think of anything I'd done to wrong her. Don't make so much noise. It's annoying. The sharp tones startled me. I immediately put down my pen, turned around, and apologized. Sorry. I almost forgot the top student in the whole school, Shin Sun, sits in the back row of our class. Everyone calls him Shin the First. He's the kind of person who, on the first day of school, asked the teacher to seat him at the very back, saying it was quiet there and he wouldn't be disturbed. But I'm sitting several tables away from him right now. Ted really is a sensitive person. But then again, it's the first semester of senior year, and if I want to improve my grades before the college entrance exams, this genius sitting right next to me is a total lifesaver. I happen to have a problem I didn't quite understand, so I grabbed my workbook and scampered over. I was twirling my pen because I couldn't figure out this problem. Why don't you help me with it? Once I get it, I won't bother you anymore. It'll only take a minute of your time. Please. He looked up and gave me a look as if I were an idiot. I get it. I get it. To people with high IQs. Someone like me with an average IQ must just look like an idiot. But I've already been through death once. What's a little glare going to do to me? I immediately stared right back at him with a look that said, I've got nothing to lose. He froze when I looked at him, quickly averted his gaze, glanced at the question a couple of times, and then began scribbling furiously on his scratch paper. After he finished writing, he tore out the page, tucked it into the workbook, and tossed it to me without even glancing at me. I returned to my seat, deeply grateful, and carefully studied the process he had written down for me. As expected of a top student, their approach to solving the problem was a real eye-opener. Just as I put down my pen and was about to stretch, the student sitting in front of me was looking at me with admiration. "Is there something you need?" She shook her head, then gave me a thumbs up. "Jian Lai. You're the first person Shindai has ever let teach him how to solve a problem." Huh, her desk partner explained. "No one can stand the way he looks at Themuri the first. You just need to be a little less shy. He's actually really nice. The methods he shared with me are easy to understand, perfect for someone like me who isn't the brightest. Should you guys check them out too?" They both nodded vigorously, and I handed them Shinsun's manuscript. They took it back as if it were a treasure and pored over it. After stretching my arms wide, I saw Su Tang walk into the classroom. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she had clearly been crying. He must have gotten a real scolding from his homeroom teacher. Her gaze grew even sharper. Was she blaming me again? In response, I shrugged at her. In fact, when I accused her of smoking, she could easily have brought up the fact that Joey had bullied her in front of everyone. Compared to her smoking, the fact that she was being bullied was clearly a much more convincing argument. Last time, I was the one who dragged her to see the homeroom teacher. But this time I didn't go, and she didn't say anything either. Did she never intend to tell the teacher about this from the start? But what good would it do to hide the fact that I was bullied from Joey? I tapped my head. Never mind. I won't bother thinking about it. People with such twisted values are hard to understand anyway. My first day after being reborn was very fulfilling. After school that evening, I ran out of the school gates, my backpack on my back, full of excitement. I could see Dad waiting at our usual spot from a distance. I pushed my way through the crowd, walked over to him, and wrapped my arms around his shoulders. He asked me with a smile, "What's got you so clingy today, Xiao Jiang? Did something good happen?" I puckered my lips and pretended to let go of him. Since Dad doesn't like me clinging to him, I'll just go home and cling to Mom instead. I'm sure she'll make me something delicious for dinner. Dad gently tapped me on the forehead. "You smart Alec." After chatting and laughing for a while, we walked to the parking lot. Just as we got into the car, Dad suddenly remembered something. "Why aren't you with your classmates today?" He was talking about Su Tang. Ever since we became deskmates in our senior year of high school, I've made an effort to get closer to her by sharing my snacks, drinks, and games with her. Seeing that no one picked her up after school every day, I generously offered her a ride in my dad's car. I smiled and replied to Dad. She said it's not right to always be a bother to us, so she won't be riding in our car anymore. Dad realized. What a proud child. The car started up and slowly drove away from the school. I suddenly felt a little uneasy. I had the distinct feeling that someone was watching me. But when I looked at the crowd behind the car in the rearview mirror, I didn't see anyone suspicious. After the car turned right at the intersection, that feeling finally disappeared. I squinted my eyes and thought back to what Dad had just said. He has a strong sense of pride. Our school is a top-tier high school, and most of the students come from well-off families. Since Su Tang acted just like everyone else, I naturally assumed her family was well-off too. But one evening, after we dropped her off near her house, it suddenly started raining. I remembered she didn't have an umbrella, and I didn't know how long it would take her to get home. So I asked Dad to drive back and bring her an umbrella. We drove around the area for quite a while before we saw her enter an old residential complex nearby. So I quickly got out of the car with my umbrella. When I ran over and shoved the umbrella into her hands, she didn't say thank you. Instead, she warned me not to tell anyone she was staying here. What's more, she reminded me of it a few times afterward, either intentionally or unintentionally, and I just gave her a perfunctory nod each time. Could it be that Su Tang hates me with a passion just because I know she lives in an old neighborhood and that hurt her pride? That's just too weird. Since I stopped eating sugar, I feel so much better. The other students are really easy to get along with, although Shinsun still keeps to himself. He's willing to help me with my questions when I ask him for help. I guess this is what people online mean when they say that spending time with positive people makes your own positive energy stronger. Even though Su Tang and Zhou Yi nearly got me killed once, I've managed to avoid that risk this time around. I'm not going to go looking for trouble where there isn't any. Unfortunately, Su Tang didn't see it that way. A few days later, she came up to me during recess. She had intended to drag me into the stairwell, but I was on my guard and told her we could talk about it in the classroom. She frowned and said it wasn't convenient. So in the end we compromised and went outside the classroom. Go ahead. I still have some homework left to do. Jian Lai. I want to explain what happened a few days ago. When the homeroom teacher singled me out, I was really scared. So I instinctively looked over at you. I thought you would help. Might really wasn't my intention to make everyone misunderstand you. Is she here to make amends? But I don't really believe it. Just say what's on your mind. What's there to be afraid of? The homeroom teacher isn't going to eat you. Su Tang paused, as if I'd abruptly cut her off just as she was about to speak. If there's nothing else, I'll go in first. Wait a minute. She suddenly grabbed my arm. That day, I was actually being bullied. Is she expecting me to help her just like I did in my last life? And then make me die all over again? What exactly does she want from Zhou Yi? It can't be him, can it? I suddenly had a jolt of realization. It's not impossible. I'm going to test the waters. Boys or girls? How did they pick on you? Just some roughhousing. Does he bully anyone else besides you? Su Tang replied shyly. It's a boy. And he's picking on me all by himself. That's hilarious. I can't believe I managed to trick him so easily. I flashed a harmless smile. I've heard that boys this age show their affection by picking on her. He can't possibly like you, can he? Otherwise, why would he pick on you alone? Su Tang lowered her voice. Where did you hear that? I raised an eyebrow. As Marguerite wrote in her diary in Le Dame aux Camélias. Apart from the fact that your insults are proof that you have always loved me, I feel that the more you torment me, the more noble I will appear in your eyes when the day comes that you learn the truth. Su Tang's face instantly flushed all the way to her ears. She had really put herself in that situation. People really should read more. If you only have a superficial understanding of things, it's easy to be led astray. I'm so jealous of you. You get good grades. You're pretty. And guys are always chasing after you. Unlike may have to spend a whole day just to solve one problem. When will I ever catch up to you? My one remark made Su Tang beam with joy. Jian Lai. You're not bad either. She was pleased that I praised her. And pleased that I admitted I wasn't as good as her. Well, since you like hearing that, I'll have to say it more often from now on. Su Tang acted as if nothing had happened. She often came to see me and even asked me to sit back in my old seat. You've got to be kidding. The seat right next to Shindai has such great feng shui. I just moved up 3 spots in the monthly exam that just ended. How could I possibly leave? Su Tang. You've always been in the top 5 of the class. So you don't understand the struggles of us average students. I have to treat myself like an ascetic and push myself to the limit just to make a little bit of progress. You have no idea how much pressure I feel when I'm sitting next to you. Your brilliance is just too dazzling. Su Tang was so happy with what I said that she stopped worrying about the seating arrangement and went home. I had just looked down to continue working on the problem when Shindai's words reached my ears. Jian Lai. You should stop hanging out with her. It took me a moment to realize he was talking about Su Tang. I instinctively looked over at her and caught her glancing my way a look that wasn't exactly friendly. Though she quickly looked away. Smart people really do have such a keen eye for judging others. If I were that smart, I wouldn't have had to die once in my past life. Okay. Shindai handed me his monthly exam paper. Ask me if there's anything you don't understand. I took it with a smile. Life went on as usual, and with final exams fast approaching, everyone was studying hard. Even Su Tang hasn't come to see me for several days. So I've happily written a few more English essays. Until one day, the girl sitting in front of me whispered to me mysteriously that she had seen something incredible. Jian Lai. Hurry up. Say. Princess, please speak. And I'll tell you. I lowered my head and continued translating the classical Chinese. I saw Su Tang and Zhou Yi walking together. I looked up quickly. Where did you see them? What were they doing? Please don't let this turn into bullying. I don't want anyone else to die over this. She gave me a look that said, I knew you'd want to know. It was just now during break at the snack bar. It wasn't just Melows of other people saw it too. I bet they're all talking right now about how those two ended up together. It was like I'd been struck by lightning. Su Tang actually ended up with Zhou Yi. Even if it's Zhou Yi. The college entrance exams are less than 6 months away. Is it really appropriate to be dating at a time like this? I exchanged a glance with the person sitting in front of me, and we both saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. Just as I was still staring blankly, a hand suddenly reached out from beside me, offering a bottle of milk. I looked over to see Su Tang smiling sweetly. Jian Lai. You used to always bring me snacks. Now it's your turn to try the ones I bought for you. Her face showed not only sweetness but also a touch of pride. Well, of course I'm going to make her happy. I took them graciously, then pretended to casually notice the bags she was carrying. Are these for me, too? Before she could answer, I reached for the bag she was holding. Even though she was clutching it tightly, she was no match for my boundless strength. And in no time at all, the bag was in my hands. Su Tang. You're so sweet. These are all my favorites. Thanks so much. She could barely keep a smile on her face. She said, You're welcome, and ran off. The girl at the next table gave me another thumbs up, so I handed her the bag of snacks. Here, have some. Hee hee. Jian Lai. You're being pretty generous. Zhou Yi was already a prominent figure at school, so news of his relationship with Su Tang spread quickly throughout the campus. Su Tang suddenly became famous, and he came to talk to me less and less often, but every time he did, he couldn't hide the smug look on his face. Back then, she really looked like a rooster that had just won a fight, although I'm not quite sure what she's trying to compete with me over. Since she's so happy about it, I'm happy for her. In many reincarnation stories, the protagonist goes to great lengths to seek revenge, but in my case, I just need to sit back and watch. I don't have to lift a finger. She'll manage to ruin herself all on her own. She can't seriously think that being with Zhou Yi is a good thing, can she? You don't really think everyone sees them as some kind of perfect couple worthy of praise, do you? The final exam results are in, and I've moved up 2 spots to 20th in the class. My parents were so excited that they took me to a 5-star hotel. Halfway through the meal, as I was heading to the restroom, I passed by a very noisy private room. The door wasn't closed properly, so I peeked inside out of curiosity. The moment I saw Zhou Yi, it was hard to breathe. The waitress standing nearby hurried over to ask if I was okay. I shook my head and leaned against the wall, using her for support. The hallway was brightly lit, but I felt as if I were still lying in that alley, with no one to turn to for help. I leaned against the wall and took a long time to recover. Just as I was about to get up and leave, Zhou Yi's words reached my ears. A girlfriend. Just a fling. She threw herself at me. Might as well have some fun. Especially since she's pretty. How did this even happen? I was smoking on the roof when she suddenly ran over and told me students aren't allowed to smoke. She gave me a long lecture, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I slapped her. I teased her a few more times after that, and to my surprise, she actually confessed her feelings to me. I wasn't planning on agreeing to it at first, but she just came up and hugged and kissed me. Couldn't really resist. Besides, she's pretty and has a great figure, so I'm definitely not losing out. I clenched my fists. So it turned out that it was Zhou Yi whom Su Tang had approached first. In her previous life, even though she knew I had misunderstood, she didn't explain herself. Instead, she went along with it, waiting until the situation had reached a point where Zhou Yi could no longer extricate himself before finally stepping forward and issuing that letter of forgiveness, one that would have put me to death but allowed Zhou Yi to live. That way, she could use the debt of gratitude to extract favors from Zhou Yi. There was no bullying. She was the one playing games the whole time. It's one thing for her to be such a fool, but why does she have to drag me down with her? But she is my girlfriend now. After all, if someone picks on her, I have to stand up for her. Someone nearby asked sarcastically, who would dare to pick on our sister-in-law? There's this woman, I think her name is Jiang Lai. I called everyone here today because I'd like to ask for your help in teaching her a lesson sometime. The scheming in the private room continued, and I was seething with rage. I never knew that, whether in a past life or now. Su Tang has been wishing me dead, and there I was, smiling away, thinking that as long as I stayed away from her, everything would be fine. I'm really going to laugh at my own stupidity, even though I'm not the quickest on the uptake. I've come to understand a lot of things. Su Tang is jealous of me. She gets good grades and is pretty, so she feels superior to me. But when she found out that we lived in a spacious, open-plan apartment in the city center, I realized that unless he was away on a business trip or too busy to get away, my dad would pick me up from school every night. I realized that my mom had been carefully preparing 3 meals a day for me and often made snacks for me to take to school. She began to realize that I had much more than she did, so she wanted to cling to Zhou, her powerful ally, to shore up her crumbling sense of superiority over me. It could even catapult her to the top. I picked up my phone and opened the chat with Su Tang. Su Tang, your birthday is coming up. What kind of gift would you like? What would she do if she found out that Zhou, the pillar of support she relied on, wasn't actually all that reliable? Whatever you choose is fine, I'll like anything you give me. Really, if I end up giving it to you, please don't say you don't like it. During winter break, I've also been working hard to improve my grades. Seeing how hard I was studying, Dad said he'd pulled some strings to find me a tutor who's a top student. I happily gave him a hug, but when I saw that he'd picked Shinsun for me, I couldn't quite keep smiling. Shinsun dutifully pulled out the final exam paper to go over the questions with me, but I grabbed his hand to stop him. Did your family go bankrupt? Are you working as a tutor to pay off the debt? Shinsun shot me a look. Even if the school goes under, my family won't go bankrupt. I happened to be there when your dad visited my uncle's house. Somehow the conversation turned to the kids' schoolwork, and my uncle mentioned that I was doing really well in my studies. Your dad jumped at the chance to say that his own daughter wasn't doing so well, and asked if I could help tutor her. So I agreed. I chewed on the cap of my pen. Oh, I see. Thanks for your hard work. Shinsun pushed his glasses up his nose. It's fine. It's actually good to review the basic question types every now and then. I pressed my lips together and buried my head in the problem. Shinsun comes over every morning to tutor me, gives me homework to do in the afternoon, and comes back the next day to go over it with me. The assignments he gave were really tough. To me, it felt like he was trying to force growth, but I didn't dare to push back, because the words that came out of his 36-degree mouth were colder than sub-zero weather. As the days went by, before we knew it, there were only 3 days left until Su Tang's birthday. The girl sitting in front of me often sends me WeChat messages telling me about Su Tang and Zhou. These two have been all over each other lately. Every day they're either going to the movies or hanging out at bars singing karaoke. Su Tang knew Zhou liked motorcycles, so she went out with him to cruise the streets. Just thinking about going for a drive in the middle of winter makes me shiver. Su Tang really is fearless. The previous post also mentioned Su Tang's birthday party. Zhou covered all the expenses from the venue and decorations to the catering. Looking at it this way, it seems Zhou still has some feelings for Su Tang. I took a taxi to the city's affluent neighborhood and followed the address on my phone to find a villa. I rang the doorbell, and a servant politely opened the door and invited me in. In the living room, Su Chi was already sitting on the sofa, waiting for me. Although she's the same age as us, there's a maturity about her in the way she carries herself that sets her apart from the rest of us. Go ahead. What brings you here? Let me give you a reason why you don't have to marry into the Zhou family. She gave me a look that said, "You'd better convince me," and motioned for me to continue. I sat up straight. Since you go to an international school, you might not know much about our first high school. The topic everyone here has been talking about lately is Zhou Yi's love life. Of course, you can easily find out all about these things just by asking around. But what Joey is about to do might not be so easy to uncover. I took out my phone and played the audio recording I'd made outside the private dining room at the restaurant last time. After hearing this, Suchi raised an eyebrow slightly. I wouldn't have guessed it. But Joey seems to treat his girlfriend pretty well. My right eyelid twitched twice. No way. No way she couldn't possibly be admiring Joey. Could she? Listen carefully. The way he treats his girlfriend is all at my expense. Don't look at me like that, it's pretty condescending. I breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. When are they going to make their move? I shook my head. I don't know, but there's a great opportunity coming up. Su Tang's birthday party is in 3 days. And there's a good chance all those people will be there. Are you saying that even if they hadn't struck that day, you would have made them do it? If there's anything I can do to help, just let me know, okay? Just as we had finalized the deal and I was about to get up and leave, Suchi suddenly asked me, "How did you know I didn't want to enter into a political marriage?" I answered honestly. After hearing the rumors circulating from the Zhou and Su families, I looked you up online and came across the speech you gave when you started high school. You said with great confidence, "I got in with the highest scores in the school, and when I graduate, I'll still be number one." Early on, people said you were arrogant, but later on, almost everyone was praising you, because so far, you've ranked first in every exam. So I figure you probably wouldn't want to be Mrs. Zhou. President Su suits you better. She suddenly smiled. You're actually pretty cute. I smiled back at her. Thank you for the compliment, President Su. After leaving, I quickly hailed a cab and went home. Some people are already plotting to seize power within their families by the time they turn 18. While others are still worried about failing to solve problems and getting scolded by their teachers. Su Tang's 18th birthday party was held at a private villa in the suburbs. A giant portrait of Su Tang was displayed at the entrance. And the aisles on both sides were lined with vibrant roses, looking as if they might burst with beauty at any moment. Su Tang had her arm linked through Zhou Yi's, dressed in designer clothes, and was smiling brightly. When he saw me, his expression froze for a moment. Then he broke into a smile even brighter than before. Jian Lai, are you wearing makeup today? I almost didn't recognize you. This is the first time I've seen you looking so good. I suppose I'm a bit like the guest who steals the show. That's right. I practiced for ages just to come to your birthday party. What can I say? You're my best friend. After all, no way. I went to a salon to get my makeup done. It was so expensive. It cost me 500 yuan. I was just happy you came, let alone that you dressed up for the occasion. By the way, let me introduce you to my boyfriend, Joey. I politely said hello. Joey wasn't exactly looking at me with a friendly gaze. After all, according to Su Tang, I'm a bad woman. Along with him were a few of Joey's friends, who were also unfriendly. They were standing behind Joey, shooting me sleazy looks. I figured they must be the same guys from the private room last time. Suddenly, I'm starting to regret how I dressed today. After handing out the gifts, I walked over to the buffet area next door. I picked up a small cake at random and popped it into my mouth, and was pleasantly surprised to find that it tasted really good. So I ate a few more. The girl at the next table leaned over to me and held up 6 fingers. I heard Joey spent that much on this birthday party. I widened my eyes and covered my mouth. It's not that I'm shocked, but it's a bit of a shame that 6-figure sum is probably going down the drain. As night fell, the villa was ablaze with lights. The moment the fireworks burst in the sky, the atmosphere reached its peak. Joey popped open a bottle of champagne, and the liquid mixed with foam sprayed out over the crowd. Then someone opened a second bottle. A third. It was such a wild celebration that even I, who had been hiding in the corner the whole time, ended up with wine splashed on me. After I had another piece of cake, someone handed me a glass of wine. He raised an eyebrow. To quench my thirst. Is Zhou Yi's friend. I took the glass, gave a shy smile, and unconsciously touched my earlobe with my left hand. The next moment, I gasped. My earring is gone. I leaned over with my glass in hand and searched the floor by the light. But unfortunately, after looking all around, I couldn't find it. I looked at Zhou Yi's friend with a pitiful expression. What should I do? My mom had these custom made by a master artisan, the only pair of their kind in the world. My expression seemed to get his hormones going. Don't worry. I'll help you look. With that, he bent down and began searching the ground. I crouched down and slowly lifted the tablecloth. Underneath, there was another glass of wine I had prepared earlier. Just as I was lifting the tablecloth halfway, Su Tang's voice rang out behind me. Jian Lai, what are you doing? Did she find out? My heart leapt into my throat. And for a moment I forgot to breathe. Cold sweat broke out on my forehead. To calm myself down, I clutched the tablecloth tightly in my hands, and it took me a while to let go. Perhaps sensing that something was wrong with me, Su Tang walked over to my side. She held out her hand to me, and there, right in the palm of her hand, lay my earring. Jian Lai, is this what you were looking for? My body was tense. My heart felt as if it were being squeezed. And the fear made me feel as if I were about to go into convulsions. I clearly put the earring in my jacket pocket. So how did it end up in her hand? Does she know what I'm planning to do tonight? No way. I've kept it a secret. There's no way she could know. I straightened up, still lost in thought, and with trembling hands picked up the earring, placing it over my heart. I've finally found it. Zhou Yi's friend chimed in at just the right moment. Sis, where did you find it? We've been looking for ages. Su Tang smiled. I saw it in the locker room just now. So I had it brought over right away. It was just a coincidence after all, but I was really careless. I didn't even notice that my earring had fallen out. I exhaled slowly. Thank you, Su Tang. Before I could even relax my tense body, Su Tang noticed the glass in my hand. What's that drink? Her gaze shifted back and forth between me and Zhou Yi's friend, brimming with mockery. Zhou Yi's friend gave him a teasing smile. It's on me. Su Tang looked a little disappointed, but her words were dripping with malice. But there's not a drop of wine missing. Jian Lai. He's Zhou Yi's friend. Could you at least do me a favor? Their eyes fixed on me like those of venomous snakes, and I unconsciously tightened my grip on my glass. But at the same time, I felt relieved. Su Qi tracked down the friend who had been with Zhou Yi at the restaurant that day. She had someone approach one of them and offer some advice on how to make the girl do as she was told. The man took the advice to heart and put it into action. To be honest, I wasn't sure if someone had spiked my drink, so I planned to swap it out, drink the new one, and then pretend I was too drunk to stand before heading back to the room with Zhou Yi's friend. That way, I can send them all to jail in one fell swoop. But now, Su Tang is forcing me to drink this glass of wine in a teasing tone. I'm almost certain there's something in it, so I don't need to keep up the act anymore. I moved closer to the window to make sure the person outside could clearly see me tucking my hair behind my ear. This is the signal. Then I gave the glass a gentle swirl and looked at them with a smile. Sorry. I took some cephalosporin today, so I can't have any. Su Tang gave no clear answer, but Zhou Yi's friend's face immediately fell. To be honest, I'm still a little scared of him after all. He might have been one of the people who killed me in my past life. That alley was so dark that, apart from recognizing Zhou Yi's voice, I couldn't even see anyone's face. But for now, I can only force myself to stay calm. Unlike last time, someone will be here to save me very soon. So, I have to hang in there. Zhou Yi's friend walked over to me and said, Are you trying to embarrass me? I shot back without mincing words. No way. You've heard plenty of times that you shouldn't drink alcohol after taking cephalosporins. Besides, I'm still your sister-in-law's good friend. Is this how you treat me? Su Tang scolded me. Jian Lai. You really are something. If you don't want to drink, just say so. He's not the stingy type. There's no need to make up an excuse like that. I raised an eyebrow. You don't believe me. Do I have to take a sip for you to believe me? Ripples spread across the surface of the drink. Just as the two of them were about to speak, I raised my glass to my lips and asked, with a hint of hurt, Do you really want me to drink this? Just as the wine glass neared her lips, a flicker of excitement crossed Su Tang's eyes. Just then, the villa's front door burst open with a crash, and a group of heavily armed SWAT officers stormed in. "Everyone stand still. Don't move." Su Tang's expression froze on her face. The villa fell instantly silent. After all, they were all students who had just turned 18. No matter how wealthy their families were, they had never witnessed a scene like this before. After searching the area, the SWAT team didn't seem to find anything. And then someone started packing the liquor into boxes. We put them all in both the opened ones and the unopened ones, including the one I was holding. It was taken along with the cup. I finally felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. It was worth holding onto the cup the whole time, just in case I spilled it. Until the test results came back, we were all kept inside the villa. The entire villa was completely surrounded by SWAT teams. No one could get in or out. As the night wore on, the person sitting in front of me couldn't stay awake any longer and leaned against my shoulder, dozing off. I looked around. Most people were seething but didn't dare speak up. Who would have thought that coming to a birthday party would lead to a raid by the SWAT team? The birthday girl, Su Tang, was nestled in Zhou Yi's arms. But Zhou Yi seemed a bit distracted. He had every reason to be worried. The villa belonged to him. He had signed the contract for the event setup, and he had provided the alcohol, which meant that if anything went wrong here, he would be held fully responsible. Besides, he wasn't unaware that his brother had smuggled contraband into the country. In fact, he even knew what the contraband was used for. That contraband could get them all arrested by the police. So, whatever punishment he receives, he deserves it. I don't know how long it had been, but finally someone opened the door. Following the SWAT team were everyone's parents. Tears welled up in the girl's eyes, and she stumbled over to her parents. It wasn't my intention to drag innocent people into this, but the real culprits are the masterminds behind it all. I was the last one to come out. Even though I'd called my parents ahead of time, they still looked worried. With faint dark circles under their eyes, they probably hadn't slept a wink all night. When they saw me, they rushed over to ask if I was okay. I gently took my mother's trembling hand. "Mom, I'm okay." She held me close to her chest. "As long as you're okay, that's all that matters." I hugged my mom back. And then I saw Shinsun standing behind her. My heart skipped a beat. Did he actually check my homework all the way to this part? Mom seemed to have remembered Shinsun as well. She let go of me and said, "Shinsun arrived early today. He came with us when the police told us to come over." I apologized to him sheepishly. "I haven't done yesterday's homework yet." "It's okay. Go home and get some rest." Shinsun looked very serious. He didn't seem to be joking, but he was right. I hadn't slept all night, and I couldn't possibly attend class in such an exhausted state. Before leaving, I glanced back and caught Su Tang's gaze just as she was looking out the door. Jealousy, resentment, and confusion mingled in her eyes. I smiled at her, then turned back and linked arms with my parents as we walked out. Behind him, the villa's front door slammed shut. From this moment on, anyone who threatens my life will rot in prison. Zhou Yi has been released on bail. Unexpected, yet not entirely surprising. He blamed everything on Su Tang. True to their business background, the Zhou family didn't go after Su Tang herself. Instead, they went straight to her family. The Su family simply couldn't refuse the terms the Zhou family had set. So, whether Su Tang liked it or not, she had no choice but to sign her name. The day Su Tang moved in, the Su family moved into the hottest new development in the city. That same day, Zhou Yi was released from detention and put on a flight abroad by the Zhou family. The Su family had given up on the idea of an alliance with the Zhou family, and Su Qi took the opportunity to secure a major project from the Zhou family. It seems like everyone except Su Tang has benefited from this situation. I got a call from Su Tang asking to meet me, but I turned her down without a second thought. Why would I go see her? Just to listen to her talk about how miserable her life used to be. Was she really left with no choice but to try to hurt me? Then why didn't she try to harm Zhou Yi? He's in a much better position than I am. Or should I go listen to her confession how she regrets that her jealousy of me led her into the abyss instead? But I didn't come back to this life just to hear her say I am sorry. She seemed unwilling to give up. So she sent me a letter. As soon as I saw who it was from, I threw it straight into the trash. On New Year's Eve, the three of us sat in the living room to see in the new year. Last New Year's Eve, I lay in the alleyway, gazing at the lights of 1,000 homes in the distance. Back then, I was still wondering why not a single ray of light could reach me. Fortunately, I managed to pull myself out of the mire. A warm home, bright lights, and my dear family. I have everything I could ever want. Before we knew it, the new semester had begun. I made significant progress on the placement test at the start of the semester, proving that Shinsun's efforts were not in vain. At the rally marking 100 days until the college entrance exam, the teacher asked everyone to write down their preferred universities, put the papers in envelopes, and place them in the safe at the back of the classroom. I carefully wrote down Beijing University of Politics and Law, School of Law. Given that I'm currently in the top 10 in my class, if I really give it my all, I can definitely get in. Actually, I'm not that bad after all. I'm a student in a top-tier class at a top-tier high school. Time flew by as I studied day and night. Before I knew it, the day of the college entrance exam had arrived. Mom was dressed in a cheongsam and held a sunflower as she came to see me off to the exam. Dad didn't say a word the whole way, but just before I entered the exam hall, he told me to take it in stride. I gave each of them a hug, then turned and walked toward the exam room. Stay tuned for some good news. I was admitted to my dream school with a score that was 20 points above the cutoff. My parents are very supportive of my decision. They've always been there for me, working hard to provide me with a good life and shielding me from life's hardships. Shinsun received a full scholarship to Stanford, while Su Qi, who had originally planned to study abroad, chose Tsinghua University instead. It's not hard to understand why she made that choice. If she didn't stay in the country, she wouldn't be able to take care of the Su family. However, she was a bit curious as to why I was studying law, so I smiled and told her, in the future, you'll be in charge of taking over the Zhou family, and I'll be in charge of putting the Zhou family behind bars. We looked at each other and smiled. 6 years later, at Jiang City International Airport Customs, I approached Zhou Yi as he cleared customs and presented the arrest warrant. I am Jiang Lai, a prosecutor with the Jiang City People's Procuratorate. We suspect you are involved in the Zhou Enterprises corruption case. Please come with us.